Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream. And tomorrow, Chelsea are back in action again, looking to return to winning ways when we take on the bottom of the table and managerless Southampton at Stamford Bridge. 3 points is an absolute must from this game. Nothing else is acceptable now. 2 wins in 14 games. I'm back in Potter, I'm back in the process, but I've got to see something tangible in return for me to actually back it. So we need to get the win. There's been some breaking team news in the last few minutes. No Reece James in the squad tomorrow. No Mark Correa or Hakim Ziyech in the squad either. So, we're with just 3 players down that would have played some part already, and we haven't even got to tomorrow yet. So I don't know what else is going to transpire, but there's a lot to get into. Neymar links, obviously Mason Mount's contract, Reece James in terms of potential leadership, future captain the club see him as. There's loads and loads to get into, guys. So please make sure you smash the likes on the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Just please click that subscribe button. It really helps me out more than you could ever imagine. And also, guys, you can donate via the super chat function as well. So if anyone wants to donate to the channel, guarantee their comment gets read out, then you can donate via the super chat function as well. But great to have you all on board as always, guys. Let's get straight into it. Team news tomorrow. Been broken in the last few minutes, as I touched on at the top of the show. No Reece James in the squad, as I said. Now, I don't know why that's the case. I don't know if it's an injury. I don't know if it's workload management. I don't know if he's ill. I don't know what it is, because he played 90 minutes against Dortmund and he seemed fine. He played 90 against West Ham. He seemed all right. Whether he's picked up a knock, how many training sessions would we have done? How many training sessions would we have done between Wednesday night's game and we would have literally trained today and maybe some light recovery work yesterday. So I don't know what's happened. Has he got injured today? Is it just tired? Is he ill? Not too sure what's going on there, but that's another hammer blow for Chelsea. And you've got to feel sorry for Graham Potter in this instance, because just as we're starting to get players back fit again, new signings starting to get their feet under the table a little bit more, bang, Reece James missing again for this game. And I know it's bottom of the table Southampton, and in normal circumstances, it wouldn't really matter that much. But the position that we're in, we need every player we can possibly get, and we need our best players. And Reece James is certainly one of those. So to have no Reece James in the team is a big problem. Obviously, I'll get into it in my lineup later on, but it's probably going to be Azpilicueta or Chalobah. Those are the options there. That's a hammer blow for Chelsea and for Graham Potter, because we desperately need Reece James. He's one of our best players, if not our best player. Attacking outlook, gets up and down the pitch. We all know what he can do. And that's a big problem. That really is a big issue. No Reece James tomorrow. So that's going to really kind of alter the dynamic of how we play. I don't really know what we're going to do. No, agreed. We don't need these guys to beat Southampton, but given the run of form we're in, low confidence, etc., we need our best players available. Malo Gusto is also proper Chelsea, because he's out for 8 to 10 weeks, having picked up an injury for Lyon. So he's going to be spending that time at Cobham rehabbing with the Chelsea physios, the Chelsea medical staff, etc. So yeah, no Malo Gusto either. All we are saying is give us some, agreedly, just some goals, just one will do, as long as we don't let any in. And tomorrow is a must-win game, and it's not got off to the best of starts with the news that Reece James is not going to be in the squad. Now, I don't know why that is. There could be more reasons for it. As I said, there's also no Cucurella or Hakim Ziyech in this Chelsea squad either. Now, again, that's interesting, because I don't know if in respect to Cucurella, that's an interesting point, because obviously he's not having the best of times at the moment. He was it was revealed yesterday in the Telegraph that he suffered a break-in, suffered a robbery at his house not long after he signed. That shouldn't still be affecting him. It's not for me to say how long that should affect someone for. because everyone's different and that sort of thing. I can't imagine how terrible that is to happen to you. And it would have certainly shaken him up a bit and more than likely affected his performances on the pitch in the early part of his career. But at the Chelsea career, sorry. But at the same time, Cucurella's been going for a difficult spell. He's been being booed by sections of the fan base. It's not going well for him right now. He's still in the infancy of his Chelsea career, and I still believe that he can turn that around. I hope that's banter, Ryan, mate, because I can't be dealing with another situation where Thiago Silva, it comes out, is suddenly not in the squad. Hopefully you're on the wind up there. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway. I'm going to try and have a little look into that. But yeah, hopefully that's not the case. I really do hope that's not the case. Yeah, there's no news on that in terms of Thiago Silva. Oh, Thiago Silva not in the squad for tomorrow's game either. Fucking hell. Are we just oh fuck. Is anyone in the Chelsea squad tomorrow? Anyone up for it tomorrow? Anyone fancy a game? Well, I'm going to the game. I might pack my boots and my shin pads, and I might have half a chance of starting in midfield. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? Why are none of these men in the squad? I mean, seriously. No Thiago Silva, no Cucurella, no Ziyech, no these aren't all injuries, but for them to not even be in the squad is interesting. I mean, I'll get into it nearer the time with the team news, but I'm a little bit concerned now. I can't lie. I'm a little bit concerned that suddenly all these names are coming out the woodwork that they're not in the squad. I mean, what's going on here? What is going on here? No Thiago Silva, no Reece James, no Cucurella, no Ziyech. I mean, Ziyech, I'm not too asked about. So I don't know. I'd love to know what the reasonings are behind this. But I mean, it gives opportunities for maybe Wesley Fofana to start. It gives opportunities for Koulibaly to continue in the centre of defence. I believe it will be him partnering Badia Shil. I don't really know what's going on. Apparently, it's a hamstring injury that James has. Yeah, Lee. I mean, I don't want to keep scrolling through Twitter. If someone could in the chat could have a look and for any updates and just let me know what the tweets are, who's tweeted it, and I can bring it up on screen rather than trying to scroll through and talk. No Silva, no James. We're done for. We're actually done for. What's Eva doing these days? Yeah, Eva Canera. Let's get her on the blower. Get her back. Yeah, it's better than the knee, but I mean, when would that have happened? Would that have happened towards the end of the Dortmund game, and he didn't really feel it at the time, and it's transpired to be a bit more, or has that happened in a training session since we've come back? Because there would have only really been one proper, no real physical training sessions, because it would have been recovery on Thursday after the Dortmund game, and it would have just been a light session before the game tomorrow. So I'm not really sure. I don't know what's going on here, but there seems to be everyone's dropping like flies, and there seems to be no fucking Chelsea squad tomorrow. It's a shambles. I really don't know what's going on here, but hopefully we'll find some more information out soon. Chile's another one. Like he'll be in the squad, but I don't know if he's fit to start or not. Chilwell. I personally wouldn't start Ben Chilwell tomorrow because we're building him up. He's played 70 minutes against Dortmund. He got a few minutes against Fulham, a few more against West Ham, 70 in the tank for Fulham. For Dortmund. And then I personally wouldn't start him. But then with no Cucurella in the squad, you start Lewis Hall. I've got no problem with starting Lewis Hall, but he's not featured in the first team for the last few games either. And it may be a big ask to chuck him back in. I really don't know. There's a lot of decisions to make, which I will get to, guys. I will get to this when we get into the team. But I just want to go through a bit more news before we do that. But yeah, guys, keep smashing the likes on the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Would really appreciate it. And don't forget, you can donate via the super chat function as well if you wish to do so. Let me get into the next bit. We're going to stick with Reece James and Telegraph article from Matt Law earlier saying that Chelsea are considering Reece James as a future captain. They believe he can grow into the role in the next 12 to 18 months and are giving him greater off-the-pitch responsibilities. I think it makes sense. We know that James is probably going to be a future captain. The captaincy is going to be something that's going to be up for grabs pretty soon. Azpilicueta, I would imagine, will move on this summer. I know he signed a 2-year deal, but I expect him to leave the club at the end of the season. Thiago Silva has been a standing captain, but I know we keep saying it, but next season probably is going to be his last one. He'll be 40 at the end of that contract. Probably will be moving on or retiring or whatever he decides to do. So you're looking at a new captain, and Reece James is probably that guy. I mean, Chelsea would have considered Mason Mount in the past. And maybe still do consider him as a potential captain, but with his contract situation still up in the air and not resolved, it's possible that he maybe isn't as suitable a candidate as he once was. So yeah, Reece James becoming a future captain, it totally makes sense. But I mean, there's no point being a captain if you can't keep yourself fucking fit and be on the pitch. So yeah, I mean, we need Reece James on the pitch as much as possible. Obviously, he's not going to be on the pitch tomorrow, but in terms of long term, in terms of future captain, I think once Azpilicueta's left, once Silva's retired, I really do think that Reece James is the next best, is the best candidate to take the captain's armband. It really is as simple as that. I can't think of anyone else that would really warrant the armband in that situation. I think he is the obvious choice to go to. So yeah, Reece James 100% should be the captain, should be the next Chelsea captain, in my opinion. Kind of once Thiago Silva's wound it down, once Azpilicueta's moved on, I think Reece James is 100% the next in line. And I think it's right that the club are looking at it and they're giving him more responsibilities off the pitch, etc., kind of build him up into that role. Because a captain's not just wearing the armband on the pitch. There's so many off the pitch responsibilities when you're captain of a football club as well. So yeah, I do think that, this makes perfect sense that Chelsea would be considering Reece James for that future captain role, and I don't think anyone would have any issues with it whatsoever if we're being honest. So yeah, Reece James is a future captain. Don't think that's a problem at all. Let me just get to a few more things in the chat. He was pictured in training today. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Even if it was load management, you still have him in the squad. You still use him. You still have him as a sub. I'm not really sure what's going on. More details, I'm sure, will come. Afaf, big up, bro. I think it might be a rest for some of the players, like the ones who are not registered for UCL, getting minutes. No, I hear that. But at the same time, there's no reason why Cucurella, James, Silva shouldn't even be in the squad. Those players I would have had Cucurella down to start tomorrow. Those players, should definitely be in the squad. There's no doubt about that in my opinion. No doubt about it. Yeah, bro, protect Felix at all costs. Please, nothing happened to João Felix. Nothing happened to João Felix tonight, tomorrow on the way to the ground, tomorrow in the warm-up, tomorrow during the match. Just nothing happened to João Felix. We must wrap this man up, protect him at all costs. We have to win tomorrow. Yeah, we certainly do. Yeah, I mean, let's try and speak it into existence. Let's try and speak it into existence. Vice Captain Enzo, call me stupid, but what I've seen so far, he plays with a badge. I really like him. Yeah, maybe at some point during his Chelsea stay that will happen. I mean, the in sort of thing now with clubs seems to be like a leadership group. I know Emery brought it in when he went to Arsenal. You have sort of 5 players that are part of the senior leadership group. I don't really know how Chelsea do things. I'm pretty certain they have got a leadership group, so I'd imagine that Reece James is involved in that, and there's certainly room for more players to be involved. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I guess those are the big misses really. But in terms of options from the bench and the squad depth for tomorrow, I think the others are somewhat of a miss in my opinion. Cassidy, I think, to be honest with Cassidy, I think because he's European, I think it's different. I know technically he's part of the EU. Obviously, we're not part of the EU anymore, but yeah, I think to do with the fact he's played in Italy and stuff, I think that makes it easier. Whereas South America, I'm not sure if playing there carries as many points as playing for Italy does in terms of the work permit application. I would not 100% sure about that, but I would imagine it's because of the fact that Cassidy is European, whereas Santos is South American, and maybe the rules are slightly different, but I don't know that for absolute certain. Doesn't seem right that all of a sudden James, Silva, Cucurella are out. Can't be injury all of a sudden to everyone. No, it can't be. Cucurella, you can understand maybe form. He just needs a bit of time to clear his head after what's going on. We don't really know what's going on off the pitch with him. Silva, I don't really get it. Yeah, by all means, like I would get it if there was another game in midweek, but there's not. We've got a free week until Spurs next Sunday, so it's over a week after tomorrow's game until we play Tottenham in our next match. So if you're resting Silva, I, look, not in normal circumstances, I wouldn't really have had an issue with it. But the fact of the matter is, we're 2 wins in 14, and we desperately have to win this game. And we need to play our best players. We're not in a position to be resting these guys. So if they're not interested, if they're not injured, then they should be playing, particularly Reece and Silva. So yeah, I'll await more information to come out. But yeah, Reece James obviously out the squad, as is Cucurella, as is Thiago Silva, as is Hakim Ziyech. And I've obviously gone over that Reece James would obviously be a great future captain of Chelsea. And the club are obviously considering that at the moment. It wouldn't be a Chelsea stream, guys, without discussing Mason Mount. Now, for those of you that tune in regularly, will know my views on Mason Mount. You know my views on the situation, but there's been reports today. And, I wouldn't be doing this properly if I didn't cover it and kind of shed more light and sort of just went over my thoughts again. Fabrizio Romano reporting today that conversations have been ongoing with Mason Mount. Nothing is agreed or close as of yet. Mount decided to change his agent over the last few months to his father. So Tony, his dad, is now going to be representing him. And this is why it's been a little bit slower over the last few months. So I don't think there's I don't know what the problem is. As soon as I can find out, I will let everyone know. But I don't know. Oh, muted. Sorry, I don't know if he's injured or not, and there's nothing come out saying what the situation is as of yet. But yeah, anyway, so the hold up in terms of negotiations going a little bit slow has been because Mount's changed agents. His dad now represents him. A deal, there's seemingly a bit of an impasse to two parties over Mount, currently obviously on 80k a week or around that. At Chelsea, he's one of Chelsea's lowest paid players. There's no doubt that he does deserve a pay rise. I don't think that's up for debate. For what he's done for the football club, he definitely deserves a pay rise, given the likes of Havertz, Loftus-Cheek, Kepa, etc., on twice as much money as he is. And over the last few years, he has done and contributed way more than those guys have. So he definitely deserves a pay rise. Where I think the issue comes is that the contract negotiations are taking place whilst he's in the midst of his worst ever form for Chelsea and probably the worst form of his career. And then when you're kind of signing a contract and you're looking to double your wages or even close to tripling them, and you're playing this badly, people are very short-minded and they kind of look at it as, oh, well, he's playing so shit. How can he possibly warrant a new contract for that much money without actually? And they're just judging it off this season on whether he should get a new contract or not. You've got to look at it as the collective. Can Mason Mount be an important part of Chelsea going forward? Absolutely. Should he be an automatic starter? Absolutely not. He has to show in the opportunities that he gets given, when he gets given them, that he can get back to the form that we know he can and the form that he's shown, and that he can be an important part of the Chelsea squad. But by no means is this guy an automatic starter. I've got no issue with him getting a new contract. I think he can be a very good squad player. And the thought of him going to a Liverpool or a Manchester City is not worth thinking about. These guys don't get many transfers wrong at all. And I think Mount, I'm not saying it would be comparable to Kevin De Bruyne or Mo Salah in terms of the levels that he may go on and reach if he were to leave and join a Liverpool, for example. But I think it is something that we would regret. And look, I'm not defending Mason Mount here in terms of his form this season. It's not even up for discussion that he should not be starting this season, and he's been in terrible form, and he's been one of our worst players. That's not even up for debate. Of course, he shouldn't be in the starting lineup. He needs to earn his way back into the team. But I don't think there's any denying that he does deserve a new contract for what he's done for the club over the last few years. When you look at it, when you look at the bigger picture. So for me, he does deserve a new contract. If he doesn't want to stay at the club, then we'll have to sell him in the summer, because we don't. The new ownership have been very clear that they don't want to have a situation where players are leaving for free, like we've had with Christensen, like we've had with Rudiger. and like we could possibly have with N'Golo Kante. They don't want to be in those situations. So if you're not going to sign a new contract, then they're going to sell you. So if Mount doesn't want to sign a new deal, which I'm not suggesting he doesn't, I'm sure maybe he's thinking about it. I think he comes in for a ridiculous amount of unfair criticism. The fact that people actively spend all day, every day on Twitter kind of saying, I'll get this guy out of my club. This guy's come from the academy. He loves this football club. Yeah, he's not playing well. Yeah, he shouldn't be in the team right now. But, the fact that so-called fans would actively want players that play for the club out of their club without them having done anything drastically wrong, like a Lukaku with the interview, for example, I just don't understand it at all. But for me, with Mason Mount, 100% deserves a new contract. And the issue that I think people are having is the fact that he's negotiating this when in the midst of his worst run of form ever. But it would be a massive, massive mistake, mark my words, to allow him to leave to a Liverpool or a Manchester City or any clubs like that. Real Chelsea, big up. No, not necessarily, because ultimately, at the end of the day, as long as they're performing on the pitch, that's the most important thing for me right now. And yes, I know Mount's not performing on the pitch, but I think he does. I think he does deserve a new contract. And if I'm not saying the base fee, I'm not saying the base wage should be triple his amount, but if with bonuses, etc., it could reach up to 240, which is what Reece James is on roughly. If it's like with the base is at maybe double 160, 180, and then with bonuses and individual hitting individual targets, team bonuses, that rises to maybe 220, 240, then I wouldn't have an issue with that. I really wouldn't. And it's also fair to say that I think Mount did reject one offer. It was reported a while back that he did reject an offer perhaps before the World Cup. But it's very normal in contract negotiations to reject the first offer. You very rarely go in and accept the first deal on the table. And, we don't know what numbers Mount is asking for. You always go in negotiating at a higher amount so that when they come back with a counter offer, it's probably closer or it's what you actually originally wanted in the first place. If you want to buy something for 20 quid, you're not going to offer 20 quid as your first offer because you're never going to get it for 20 quid. You might offer 10, then you might offer 15, and then you might agree on 20. It's the same with contracts. You never go in with what you actually want. You go above, and then as a counter offer, you might get what you actually want. And I think it's no different with the Mason Mount situation. Nothing's come out yet either about what Chelsea have offered him or if they have offered him anything. So, look, deserves a new contract as far as I'm concerned. Shouldn't be in the team right now. Needs to rediscover his form. Needs to earn his place back in the side and then start performing on the pitch. But as far as I'm concerned, he 100% deserves a new contract, in my opinion. And the hate that he gets is absolutely ridiculous. And those people that spend all day, every day, criticize him, get out. Go and live your life. Go and do something else. It's boring. You're boring. That's all I'll say on that one. I've absolutely got no problem with people saying that they don't think Mason Mount should be at the club or they don't feel that he's good enough. That's their opinion. It's the constant all day, everyday criticism of one of your own. It's just not needed. And that's all I'm going to say on that matter. When Mount came on and played strength, I thought it impact. I can't actually remember the Dortmund game now. I've kind of removed it from my mind. I can't remember really what Mount did in that game, if I'm being honest. I don't remember. Why doesn't Potter work on getting one with runs from Mudryk? Hopefully tomorrow. I mean, it's likely to be Mudryk and Lewis Hall on that left-hand side. Let's just get Mudryk the ball a bit more. We just want to see him get the ball more, get more involved in the game. Are the rumours true that Todd didn't realise we'd be unlikely in the... No, I've not heard that, and I don't think that's true, to be honest. I would have hazarded a guess that Todd is pretty switched on. He knows what he's doing. I think he's fully aware that we're unlikely to be in the Champions League next season. Although, having said that, if we get our shit together, it still only is 10 points to gap. I say only 10 points. If we go on a run, never say never in football. But at the moment, it's a million miles away. What if we drop points tomorrow? Considering these players are out, shouldn't we question Potter? Look, I think I've maintained that this is a big week. Dortmund, there was improvements in terms of the performance. The result, we lost again. If we weren't to win tomorrow, I think a lot of people would start to change their tactics and think, what's going on here? This is really, really important. We have to win this game. The next week is massive in terms of Southampton at home, Spurs away. We never lose against Tottenham. I don't even think we've conceded to Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So we need to beat Southampton and we need to beat Tottenham. This is a massive week. But yeah, drop points tomorrow and I could see a lot more people turning against Graham Potter. Even with the circumstances, we've got to We have to win tomorrow. It's as simple as that. We have to win tomorrow. No more excuses. You know, these are bottom of the league, Southampton. They're dog shit. Yes, we've got players out, and yes, we're struggling, but this is a must-win game. We have to win. Would Lukaku fare better with the talent? I tweeted this out a while back and got absolutely hammered for it. Look, in theory, yes, but the reality is that Lukaku's had a terrible season at Inter. He's not scoring. He's not kept himself fit. He doesn't want to be at Chelsea. It's a no-goer for me. But yeah, he could potentially be better. Aubameyang not in the squad either. No, there's no surprise there. Aubameyang's finished at Chelsea. I said a while back on Chelsea Fan TV that I don't think Aubameyang will actually play for Chelsea again. And I don't think I'm going to be wrong on that. I'd love to know what's gone on there. Something must have happened behind the scenes because, you know, okay, you leave him out of the Champions League squad, but for him to be left out of Premier League squads as well when we're really struggling for goals, I'm not saying he's the answer, but there must be more to it than what's been kind of let on and what's been released. Because, Brighton did have issues scoring under Potter for a while, but again, they didn't have the same caliber of play. You know, when you got the likes of Mopé, and Danny Welbeck, etc., it's going to be a little bit more tricky to score than it is with the likes of Felix and what we've got. But yeah, no, that is obviously going to be a concern. But with better players, then hopefully that should start to change. One thing I would say is it's far more important that we create the chances. The missing of the chances is obviously not ideal and it's annoying, but it's far more concerning if we weren't creating those chances in the first place. So the fact that we've looked more creative in these last few games is definitely it's a big plus for me. It is a big plus for me. But now we just got to go the full mile and stick the ball in the back of the net. What else was I going to look at? I was going to bring you a quick update on not that. Yes, on Andre Santos. Been conflicting reports coming out today, but then I was saying that Andre Santos' work permit has been rejected. But then David Ornstein in The Athletic, who is pretty much the GOAT alongside Fabrizio, saying that Chelsea have not yet applied for Andre Santos' work permit. He was not going to play for Chelsea this season and has international duty, so likely to join a Brazilian top-tier side on loan before getting the permit in the summer. Key part of the midfield rebuild. But then there are reports today, the Evening Standard, multiple British outlets, and I'm sure others around the world, were saying that Andre Santos had been rejected for his work permit application. He'd missed out by 1 point, supposedly. Obviously, you know, played for for Brazil in the under-20s, captained them to the championship, scored the winning goal in the final, finished the joint top goal scorer. I mean, I think this kid is very good. Again, we've got to put a lid on expectations, not expect too much from him when he comes into the team next season. But I'm not sure if Ornstein's been given a club briefing. It's very possible because the club might want to save face and not accept that they've been rejected twice for a work permit. I'd find it very strange that Chelsea wouldn't have applied at all for a work permit. I really don't know. I think they probably have, and this is a club briefing to say that they haven't. But Andre Santos will not be playing for Chelsea this season anyway. I think we kind of knew that, but there was an outside chance that, you know, we could have done with him. Well, I would have liked to have seen him this season. I think he could have played an important part, particularly given the fact that Jorginho left and the issues we've got in the midfield at the moment. I think he could have been useful, and it would have been good to see him get some minutes. But yeah, Andre Santos won't be playing for Chelsea this season. Work permit application, whatever you choose to believe, has either been rejected, hasn't got enough points for it, or Chelsea didn't apply for one in the first place. I don't really know what to believe here. But what we do know is that Andre Santos will not be playing for Chelsea this season. And it is believed that he will join, I think it's Palmeiras, the Brazilian side, on loan, the club that Chelsea beat in the Club World Cup final a couple seasons back. So, yeah, he's expected to go on loan to Palmeiras. I'm not really sure when that's going to be confirmed, but it will be confirmed at some point. So, yeah, obviously no Aubameyang in the squad, as we know. Reece James, Marc Cucurella, Hakim Ziyech, Thiago Silva, and Aubameyang all not in the squad for tomorrow's game. Yep, so that's that. What we got here? Should we start playing Felix as false 9 and leave the space? I don't really know. I think the way that Felix picks up those pockets in the 10 and that space that he picks up, and kind of in between the lines, I would personally not want to see him as a false nine, but then you could feasibly see him play as a nine, as it were, and then you could play Mount. I mean, the only other option is that you play Mason Mount as a 10, but we're of an agreement that we don't want Mount to be in the team right now because he's not playing well enough. So I'm not really sure what the situation is here. I don't really know. I'd personally play for Datro Fofana up front tomorrow. That would be my preference. Looking forward to becoming the first ever team to win the Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League. Yeah, bro. Let's look. I'm here for it. We need to add the Conference League to the cabinet. Then we can update the "We've won it all" chant to officially saying that we actually have won it all. And we can feel good about ourselves banging hat tricks against mid-table Slovakian sides. Why not? Why not? I would rather Europa League than Conference League. I think ideally it'd be better for us, not to play any European football next season, so we can just fully focus on domestic matters. But I am fully aware that we probably will be playing some form of European football, whether that's Conference League or Europa League. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to be ideal if we're playing in the Conference League. It will be peak. I can't lie. I won't enjoy going to those dead matches against some Kazakhstani teams at Stamford Bridge. I mean, I'm not sure I'll be making any of the away trips in the Conference League, certainly not the group stage. If we were to be in the Conference League, get to those knockout rounds, then yeah, maybe we make a few trips. But yeah, who knows? It would be pretty Chelsea to have that expensively assembled squad and be turning up in the Conference League. But yeah, let's kind of see what happens. One more thing, guys, before I get into the team lineup, and keep smashing those likes on the stream. Let's get those likes up, guys. Please do like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I would really appreciate it. And you can also donate through the super chat function as much or as little as you wish to do so. All donations would be obviously greatly appreciated. Yeah, let's just talk about number nines. Another depressing subject. Fabrizio Romano saying that Chelsea see Christopher Nkunku as a guy to play behind the striker. They are also very happy with João Felix. Internally, they know they need a traditional number 9. Now, I'm so confused what's happening in the team. I mean, the team's not been leaked per se, but I mean, I don't really know what's going on. There's obviously club sources. People have got contacts. I don't really know what this CFC Sam guy does, but he's obviously got contacts at the club. I mean, I think the club could quite easily root it out and shut it down if they really wanted to. Again, it's not helpful, I suppose, because if you're Southampton, it doesn't really, I don't know if it gives the opposition an advantage or not. I guess they know they're preparing to not face those players. They might have had an idea that they wouldn't have all featured anyway, but maybe it does help the opposition out a little bit. I don't really know, but early team news and team news leaks has kind of always sort of been a thing. I'm not saying that excuses it or makes it right, but it kind of has always been a thing. I don't really know why I don't really know why it happens. The season is all about the return leg with Dortmund and trying to get through that. Yeah, agreed. This next run of fixtures, this Southampton, Tottenham, Leeds, Dortmund second leg, this next 4 games, this next 3 weeks or whatever it is that these games are in, this is fucking massive. This will kind of make or break the season. I think it will make or break a lot of people's views on Potter and how his time may or may not go here. But let's get back to this number 9 business. Now, obviously, Nkunku signed. His best position is off the front man. Yes, he can play as a number 9. I'm sure in moments next season, in games, in parts of games, he will play as the number 9. But he's not been signed to play as the out-and-out 9. He's been signed to play as a 10 or off one of the sides. We signed João Felix as well. There's great competition for places there. I think we should sign João Felix. Maybe Felix can play as a 9 a little bit as well. And you've got great competition for places within the squad. But at the same time, I'm fully aware that I don't think Nkunku's prolific enough goal scorer to be relied upon to get us the goals that are going to fire us to the top 4, fire us to the Premier League title and trophies in over the next few years. I just don't think he's that sort of player. He's a very good player, but I don't look at him as a prolific goal scorer. João Felix, mega talented. If we got him on a permanent basis, I think he's going to be more of a creative player that pops in with an odd goal here and there. He's never been prolific in his career. I don't think he's scored more than 10 league goals in a season during his career so far. I know he's still only 23, but he's not renowned for being prolific. And And I think Chelsea are aware, and I think fans know that we do need a number 9. But the problem is we're so scarred from our previous number 9 experiences. I mean, over the last 20 years, we've had, 2 good ones in Drogba and Costa. We've had the likes of Lukaku, Aubameyang, Shevchenko, Morata, Higuain, all guys that have been top players on their day, utter dog shit at Chelsea, utter dog shit. So it does worry me when we're kind of like we're linked with a 9 and we're looking to bring a number 9 in, because it's, you sort of think, yeah, it's exciting because it's the kind of the most exciting position on the pitch, but at the same time, it's like there's that realization that, oh, fuck, like number 9s are normally shit at Chelsea. But in terms of like potential options, you're looking at, I mean, Victor Osimhen is a phenomenal player. He's having an outrageous season at Napoli this season. He scored another great goal tonight in Serie A. I think he scored for the last 7 Serie A matches in a row. But at the same time, I personally would prefer Ivan Toney. And I know there's no denying that Osimhen is miles clear of Toney in terms of ability and talent and whatnot, but I actually think Toney is a really underrated player. He's Premier League proven, which is a massive plus. And I think we've got to move away from just signing big names. Toney, again, he's 27, so he's perhaps at the upper limit of what the kind of the age Bowley and Clearlake are looking to sign. But I think it'd be a really shrewd acquisition. Someone that's physical, someone that's good in the air, the sort of profile similar to Drogba and Costa that has worked in the past. And Premier League proven, wouldn't cost anywhere near as much as Osimhen. Osimhen, 100 million minimum, more likely to be more. And he's a Drogba Costa type. So I think it makes more sense. And the price would definitely be less as well. 60 million, I reckon, probably 70 absolute tops. But I think more like 50 to 60 million pounds. Again, it depends on the outcome of the betting charges, which we're still waiting for. But I think it would be a really shrewd, smart piece of business to get Ivan Toney in. I love Victor Osimhen, but in terms of going for big names and big money strikers, mate, he will go for 100 million pounds. If he leaves Napoli this summer, he's not leaving for less than 100 million. I'm almost certain of that in my mind. I'm almost certain that he won't go for less than 100 million. Him and Kvaratskhelia, I mean, they are cooking. I mean, these players are phenomenal. And I mean, if we're going to sign a player from Napoli, I'd rather get Kvaratskhelia. But again, he's going to be a ridiculous amount of money. Mate, this guy come from the Georgian league for fucking like 10 million euros. It's utter madness how good he's been. But in terms of 9s, you're looking at Vlahovic, who I'm not really sure if that's right for Chelsea. You're looking at Osimhen that I've touched on. Harry Kane would be fantastic to get, but at the same time, we're just like, nah, it's never going to happen. Ivan Toney for me would be great. Or we can go for someone a little bit less known. I mean, someone like maybe Kolo Muani at Frankfurt, who's having a fantastic season. You know, we need to shop around a little bit and not just go for the big names, because they haven't really worked out for us at all, particularly in that centre forward position. But yeah, look, the number 9 is clearly a position that we're going to be targeting in the summer, and it'll be interesting to see what we do, because attacking players are going to leave. I think Christian Pulisic will leave, Hakim Ziyech will leave. I personally would like to see Kai Havertz leave. If we don't get João Felix on a permanent, that's another leave. So that's at least 2 to 3 definitely leaving. And Kunku comes in, that's one. There's another 2 spaces to fill. So I think we're going to look for another wide man and potentially a number 9 as well. But Ivan Toney would certainly be my preference in that number 9 position. That's for sure. He would definitely be my preference in the number 9 position. But let's kind of wait and see what happens with that. Let's wait and see. I mean, we got the rest of the season to get on with at the moment, so there's no point thinking about this right now in terms of the 9. But it's an interesting point now. I think we are going to look for a 9, and it's kind of obvious, but it does fill me with a little bit of fear. But Ivan Toney would be the guy that I would like to see sign for the club. I don't know. Was it Tony's a risk? Yeah, I think we'd have to wait for some clarity on that. But again, it could drive his price down potentially as well. Who knows? Right then. Yeah, I mean, Mikel's been doing, I think this is on a podcast or something. He said quite a lot of interesting things. I mean, Mikel, low-key underrated, a bit of a Chelsea cult hero. I can't lie. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Benitez got hammered at Chelsea, but we did win the Europa League with him, in fairness. I mean, he was never a popular choice, but we did win something. So kind of fair play to him, I guess. But yeah, he certainly wasn't a fan favourite. What did you make of the Neymar links, if he is considered? Again, I think this is subsequently proven to not be true. Todd Bowley and Nasser El Khalifi did meet in Paris in a hotel. They did discuss a lot of things, Super League, etc., possible transfers. But people thought Neymar was discussed, but then it subsequently come out that perhaps Neymar wasn't actually a topic of conversation at all. I think it's clear that PSG will be looking to try and cash in on Neymar, and Chelsea would be one of a few clubs that could probably afford him, not in terms of transfer fee, but in terms of wages. He's on outrageous wages at PSG. But I look at Neymar and part of me thinks, wow, it'd be amazing to see him in a Chelsea shirt at Stamford Bridge. The sort of the football fan, the fanboy side of me. But then the actual reality for me is that the guy's 31 now. And does he really fit what we're looking to do? Is he going to be of benefit to Chelsea? Is he going to be better than kind of what we've got? Does he fit into what we're looking to do? Is there any guarantees that he'd actually adapt to the Premier League? I look at it and I think, yeah, if we were offered him for 60 million, it seems like an amazing deal. And you'd love it. And I'd love to get a Chelsea shirt with Neymar in the back. Of course I would. But at the same time, I just look at the project and I think, is this the kind of the direction we're going in? The only way it would make sense potentially is if we didn't get João Felix on a permanent deal. Then maybe there's space for one of those creative type players in there. But if we sign Felix on a permanent, then there's no place, there's no space for Neymar, in my opinion. And I think again, another good player. He's a Chelsea fan as well. One of my mates met him in a Chelsea club shop. His two kids support a big Chelsea fans, and he was getting them some Chelsea shirts. There's a bit of an anecdote there. What if Neymar does a Thiago Silva? Oh, but it's not even the point though. I just don't know if it's right. And Neymar definitely won't be here when he's 40. Neymar won't be playing when he's 40. I'd stand by that. But yeah, I'd be happy to be wrong if that were the case. But yeah, the only way Neymar makes sense is if Felix doesn't sign permanently, and even then, I'm still very dubious on it, just given the age and the fact that I don't really know where he fits in. But at the same time, he's a football megastar. It'd be great for commercial stuff off the pitch things, and he's so talented. He's got undoubted ability, but I just don't think it's the right thing for Chelsea to do. I don't think it's the right thing for kind of the project going forward. But let's wait and see what happens on that. Right, I'm going to finally get into the team news for tomorrow's game. So if you haven't smashed the likes, make sure you do. Let's get those likes up, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers as quickly as possible. So every new subscriber helps and would be greatly appreciated. Right, let's get into this team then, guys. I've gone with a 4-2-3-1. I think it's pretty obvious who's going to play in goal. Mendy, fuck knows what's happened to him. He just disappeared off the face of the earth, it seems. But he's been in terrible form and he wouldn't be in consideration for the team anyway. So Kepa goes in between the sticks, and he's been pretty good for us in recent weeks. And there's no reason, no one else is going to play, so it's Kepa for sure. I don't think we will play a back three, because who's going to play wing back? Because I wouldn't. Chalobah at right back is okay. Chalobah at right wing back is a no for me. And Azpilicueta is an even bigger no for me at right wing back. So I can't see that happening, if I'm being honestly. In terms of centre backs, then, yeah, I mean it's gonna be a tricky one, real Chelsea. It's gonna be a tricky one. But centre backs, obviously no Thiago Silva, as I said earlier. For me, I think Koulibaly will keep his place after a good performance against Borussia Dortmund, and obviously Badiashile will come back into the team, having not played in midweek due to not being in the Champions League squad. So I think that will be the centre-back partnership for tomorrow. People talk about Wesley Fofana. He was on the bench against Dortmund. He's not ready to start in this game. I wouldn't start him in this game. Badiashile doesn't deserve to be dropped, and I think Koulibaly probably doesn't deserve to be either, based on the back of the Dortmund performance. However, if we're in a winning situation, if we're a few goals clear with 10, 15 minutes to go, let's get Fofana on and use him from the bench to start building his minutes back up, because he will get opportunities and he will get himself back in the team. But I do think Badiashile's kind of unsuspected good form is a bit of a problem for Fofana, because Thiago Silva is definitely going to play. And at the moment, Badiashile is a mainstay in the team. So it's going to be tough for Fofana to get back in. He's going to have to make the most of it when he gets his opportunities. But I would give him minutes on the bench tomorrow for sure if we're winning. We need to start building his minutes up somehow, somewhere. So Badiashile and Koulibaly for me to start tomorrow. In the centre back pairing, I don't get why people want his CR7. No, they want Neymar. Yeah, no, I don't think we need him either. Look, part of me would love it, but then the reality of the situation is I just don't think it's right for what we're doing. I just don't think it would be right for Chelsea either at this point in time. So, right back. Let's move to right back. I think the centre backs pick themselves pretty much, in my opinion. Yeah. Let's move to right back. No Reece James. Don't know why yet. I haven't managed to find any news on that. I'd go Chalobah on this one. Chalobah played right back in our last win against Crystal Palace. I think it's clear that he's now the favoured option there over Azpilicueta. But I also wouldn't rule out Azpilicueta playing in this game either, potentially. But yeah, for me, it has to be Trevor Chalobah in my opinion, because they're both not ideal options at right back, but he's a better option than Azpilicueta is at right back at this point in time. So I would go Chalobah at right back. Left back's interesting because I personally would have started Mark Correa, but it's now going to be a toss up between Ben Chilwell and Lewis Hall. So yeah, let's see. Let's kind of see what happens with that one. I think for me, it'll be Lewis Hall. So I don't think Chilwell. I think in terms of managing Chilwell's load and managing his minutes, he's not ready to start this game. You know, a few minutes against Fulham, half hour or so against West Ham, 70 minutes against Dortmund, and now a couple of days later, another game. Can he give us an hour again? I personally not sure if he can. I'd rather see him get maybe half hour from the bench and start against Spurs next weekend. I'm going to start Lewis Hall because I just worry about Chilwell's management and his fitness. So for me, Lewis Hall, but I wouldn't be against Chilwell starting. I just personally don't think it's the right thing to do. I'd personally go with Hall, but again, Hall's not played for a while either. So this is a really tricky decision. I don't know what Potter's going to do. I mean, he said in the press conference it was touch and go on Chilwell. Does that mean touch and go on him starting, or does that mean touch and go on him being in the squad? I don't really know. So yeah, I'd go Lewis Hall, but again, Chile could easily start tomorrow. Yeah, it's not looking good at the moment with all these squad withdrawals at the moment. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to get to the midfield now, Ashraf. Let's get into the midfield. That's my back line though: Chalobah, Koulibaly, Badiashile, and Hall. I mean, it's not ideal that, but I mean, it's what we've got to work with. It's as simple as that. In terms of midfield, obviously one who's definitely playing. We know that Enzo Fernandez is going to play. So Enzo is going to play in one of those positions. Now, this next position is interesting because obviously Ruben played the 90 against Dortmund. I felt he did okay. I think he did pretty well against West Ham in the minutes that he played there as well. And I don't actually think he's done anything to warrant being dropped. And obviously, Cover and Zakaria are still coming back from injury, not had any minutes for a while. I can't remember when Cover's last minutes were. Maybe Fulham away. And then obviously Zakaria has not played since then either. So for me, I look at it and I think these guys are going to need to be bedded back into the team. I don't know if they're ready to go back in and start per se. But then at the same time, they've got to get some minutes somewhere. But I mean, out of the two, I would probably start Zakaria because I think he's more durable than Cover, and I trust his fitness more than I do Cover's. I think it'll be interesting to see an Enzo Zakaria pivot. But I also don't think that Ruben's done anything wrong. But again, Ruben has played a heavy amount of minutes, having played no minutes since pre-World Cup. So maybe he might drop to the bench and Zakaria goes. For me, it's a toss-up between Ruben and Zakaria. I'll probably go Zakaria. I would go Zakaria just because I think he's more durable and I trust his fitness more than I trust Cover's. And Cover can obviously come from the bench, that's for sure. So you'd like to have Azpilicueta instead, God of Frogs, than Chalobah at right back. I don't think we can see Azpilicueta play right back. Certainly not starting. Coming off the bench, yeah, sure, he can do a bit for 20 odd minutes or so, but yeah, I can't see him. I don't want to be starting him. in my opinion, we should start good team and then look to sub the returning players. But of course, well, let's hope. Well, yeah, I do always think cover starts to finish the game early. We need to. No, I get people's thinking. The only reason I'm going as a carry is I think he's more durable, and I trust his fitness more than I trust Kovacic's. But again, I would be surprised after these layoffs if these guys go straight back into the team. But let's wait and see. I personally would go Enzo as a carrier, but I wouldn't have an issue if Kovacic were to start. In terms of the front, this three behind the striker, this for me picks itself. And I know people might have a debate, but there's no Hakim Ziyech now. Raheem Sterling played a few minutes against Fulham, picked up a knock on his knee, missed West Ham, missed Dortmund. I'd be shocked if he went back into the team straight away on this right-hand side. So for me, and obviously having not played in midweek either, it's Madueke on the right-hand side. And I think he's raw still, you can tell, but I think he's promising. He's got pace, he's direct, he takes players on, he's got a bit of skill, and he's an exciting player. Yes, he's still raw, but I look forward to seeing more of Madueke. So if he starts on the right-hand side, for me, a bit of a no-brainer, considering there's no Ziyech in the squad and Sterling is building his fitness back up. It's Madueke there. It's then João Felix for the first time in front of the Stamford Bridge faithful. It'll be a home debut for him. Felix to play in that 10 where he's been our best player pretty much in every game he's played, really. Fantastic in that first 60 against Fulham. Great against West Ham, and they dropped off a bit in the second half. And he was good against Dortmund despite missing those opportunities. So Felix plays in the 10. I'm looking forward to another great performance from him. In terms of the left-hand side, it's going to be Mykhailo Mudryk for me. You could maybe make a case for Mason Mount, but again, I think Mount has not played well enough to warrant being in the team. He's been on the bench for the last 2 games. He's not made an impact when he's come on either. It doesn't warrant playing. Mudryk, I think, is getting better. He's getting fitter. He's getting more minutes in his legs. And we just need to get the ball to him more tomorrow. Get the ball to him more, get him more involved in the game. And I think he can do some exciting stuff. But again, we just got to be patient with him. He's building his minutes up, building his fitness up. But yeah, Mudryk on that left-hand side for me, for sure. This is my preferable lineup. This is the team that if I was the gaffer, this is the team that I would be pick. I'm not going. I'm not going off what I think the team's going to be. This is what I would pick. Because this is my team. I actually think. Look, I get what you're saying, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mount did start, and it would be either on the left or right hand side, or it would be as the 10. But I just can't see it happening. Mudryk, Felix, Madueke for me is an absolute no-brainer. It's exciting. They're young, hungry players, skillful, pacey, creative. It makes sense to me. That's got to be the 3 behind the forward tomorrow. Starting at centre forward, no Aubameyang in the squad. So it's obviously going to be Havertz or Fofana. I think it's pretty clear. We know it's going to be Kai Havertz starting, but I'm sick of watching Kai Havertz play for Chelsea. Doesn't offer anything in that 9 position. Just doesn't do anything. People know my views, and I'm not going to waste any time speaking about him. For me, it's Datro Fofana. Impressed in the cameo that he had against Fulham. I thought he'd done all right in the cup as well, away at City when we got hammered. I'd go Datro Fofana. And it's kind of what you want at the top end of the pitch. Someone that's young, hungry, exciting, has got a point to prove, wants to do well, will give everything for the shirt. And I think, look, that for me is the best we've got. That for me right now is the best we've got right now. And I would start Fofana up top because I think, he's young, hungry. He's raw, but he's got ability. And I think he can be a bit of a handful. I think he'd be more of a handful for the Southampton defenders than obviously than Havertz would be. So I would personally start Fofana. And that would be the team that I would go with tomorrow. Of course, you could make a case for, you could do this. You could play Felix as the 9 and then play Mount as the 10 there. If you were to not play Havertz at all and you wanted a different option, that is potential. That's the other potential that you could that you could see happening. I personally don't want to see that. This is what I would go with tomorrow. That's the team that I'd go with. Over out the squad is ridiculous. We don't know what's. I think there must be something more to this. Then I think being left out of the Champions League squad, I don't look at it as a big deal. He wasn't a Potter signing; he was a stopgap signing. He's done nothing since October, and he's not a player of immense quality that is going to make such a difference to us that he has to be in the squad. So for me, I haven't got a problem with him out of the squad. In terms of not being in the Premier League squad for matches, I don't know what's going on there. There's something more going on behind the scenes than we're led to believe. For him to just be constantly left out, there must be something more to it. But look, let's not pretend that he's the answer because he's done nothing since October. I personally don't believe he would make this Chelsea team any better at all. What about Sterling at false 9 instead of Kai? Maybe, but again, I don't like seeing Sterling as a false 9. I don't think it works particularly well. And I can't see him starting considering he's played hardly any minutes since Man City at home. Apart from a few at Fulham, he's missed the last 2 games. I'll be surprised if he went straight back in. So, yeah, I'm going to go. That's the team that I'm going to go with. Do you know what? The lineup's all right, and it should be more than enough to beat Southampton. But I'm not confident. That's the thing. We can't be confident right now with the way that results have been going for us. But that is my team for tomorrow. That's what I'd go with. What Graham Potter goes with, we'll have to wait and see. But let's see. Yeah, a lot of people have been saying they think Mount's going to start, but I don't really know where that works because you'd think for it to work best, you play Mount as a 10, Felix as a 9, or you maybe play Mount on one of the wings. But I think that would be harsh on Mudryk or Madueke. So let's kind of see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Potter never going to say Ober is a bad trainer. No. Yeah, I agree, Piotr. There must be some issues behind the scenes for him to be constantly left out the squad for sure. And agreed on this. There's no excuses. No matter who plays, who doesn't, we shouldn't drop points. Potter should beat them. Yeah, we have to win tomorrow. We have to win. I'll be fuming if I leave that stadium tomorrow and we've not won the game because we simply have to win this game. It's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer. We must win. We must win. But that is a team that I would go with, guys. All that remains to be done is to give a score prediction. Now, I don't know. I do feel a little bit concerned about this one. I can't lie. It's going to be tricky. Southampton got no manager. Instead of a new manager bounce, they might get a no manager bounce. Who knows? But they've got some good players. Ward-Prowse is dangerous on set plays. Lavia is a fantastic talent in midfield. A player that Chelsea will be looking at in the summer, I'm sure. Walker-Peters is a half decent at fullback. They've got a few decent attacking options. Maybe Che Adams. I think they signed a really tall Belgian forward in January. And they got a decent winger, I think, from Ligue 1 in France in the January as well. So they're not a good team, but they've got players that could cause us problems. And with the form we're in, we're going to have to be on our A game to beat these. And they might have a point to prove as well. So it's going to be really tricky. But I think we are going to finally win. I'm going to predict a 2-1 win. I don't care if it's scrappy. I don't care how we win as long as we win. The most important thing is we start picking up points and getting the wins. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. We've got a 1-1 in the chat. We've got a 3-0. We've got a 2-0. But I think the reality of the situation is I would take any win, as would any Chelsea fan. Any win tomorrow, but my prediction is a 2-1 win. Right, guys, seems like a good place to round out then. Seems like a good place to round out. First half is key. Yeah, a fast start. We really need a fast start. An early goal would be massive, would be really big. Because the longer it goes on goalless, the more restless it's going to get in the stands, and that's going to transfer onto the players, and the more nervy it's going to get. And it's not going to be conducive to breaking Southampton down at all. So we need an early goal, in my opinion. But yeah, guys, seems like a good place to round out. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. Thanks for getting involved in the chat. I massively appreciate it. As always, please, on the way out, smash the likes on the channel. Subscribe as well if you haven't done so already. I've said it many times, but please do subscribe. It does really help me out. So if you're new around here, you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. And also, guys, follow me on Twitter as well. Charlie Patrick 0. It's on my screen name. I'm about 30 followers from 1K. So every new follower would help. So if you can help me get to a K on Twitter as well, that would be massively appreciated. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, guys, after the game with some match reaction to Southampton, and I'll be there. So there should also be a match vlog. So watch out for both those bits of content after tomorrow's game. Let's hope we can get a win. Let's hope we can make it a return to winning ways and it doesn't become 2 wins in 15, because that would be tragic. Let's keep the faith. As always, guys, up the Chelsea, keep the blue flag flying high, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.